Thank you very much for being in Georgia. Thank you very much for all the support Georgia feels from the United States for all these years. I always say that if it was not the United States, lots of people would have died from hunger in this country, not to talk about the other important issues. US was helpful to us. Well, I'm Tina Tinkhidashele from the Republican Party of Georgia, chair of the organization you mentioned, Georgian Young Lawyers Association. And I'm very happy again to be here and to listen to your very inspiring speech. But as I'm in the opposition, probably that's my role to say, not to be that enthusiastic about the Georgian democracy.
That is the role of the opposition.
Right. Some times ago, actually it's already 5 years ago, President Bush named Georgia as beacon of democracy. And it took very little for our government to be spoiled by this label. And then we've seen tens of thousands of people beaten in the streets, we've seen people killed in the streets, we've seen arbitrary killings, arbitrary detentions, we've seen stolen elections, we've seen stolen media outlets, we've seen lots of many different things that are not suitable to democracy. And my question here is very simple. Is there any democracy agenda within the United States government for Georgia? A real one. Not the one that we've seen during the Bush times that was, well, we know what Saakashvili does, but he's our guy. But the real one, real democracy agenda. Agenda which is about freedom and independence of judiciary, which is about freedom of media, which is about free and fair elections, where people are able to express their will freely without any interference. Is there any real weapon the US has for influencing the democratic changes in any country, and especially in the country where its policy is valued, where being pro-American is a pride? And that's the last thing I want to say. What is happening in Georgia for the last couple of years, and which is most scary to me personally, is that this very pro-Western, very pro-European, pro-American, I would say, nation is turning a little bit Euro-skeptical, US skeptical, Western skeptical, and that's what scares me. That's probably on the long run what will be the most disastrous for me. Is the chance, and I think that we all really work towards democracy, not towards the guys who are serving our agenda, but more for the democratic institutions. Thank you very much.
Well, the United States always has a democracy agenda because the United States believes that a functioning, strong democracy is the best form of government ever invented. It may not be perfect. It always falls short of what you hope for, even in our own country. We've had that experience over 234 years. But that continuing to try to perfect your democracy is one of the key challenges for any country, both its government and its citizens. Our view is that Georgia has made extraordinary progress and has demonstrated resilience in the face of very difficult circumstances. But of course we raise issues, whether it's a criminal code or an independent judiciary or a free media. We raise these issues as a friend, as a supporter, as a believer in the significance of Georgian democracy. I will be meeting later today with leaders of the opposition, as I do in many countries across the world. But I think an opposition also has a responsibility. And that's why I talked about the importance that we place in our country of trying to look toward a future that is jointly the responsibility of both the government and those in opposition, whether it's my own story in having run against President Obama or our own political parties in the United States. I think one of the biggest dangers for democracy in the world today is that democracy quits being able to deliver results for the people of democratic countries because leaders, both in government and in opposition, spend all their time jockeying for power. And whether that is in the United States or anywhere else, There has to be a closing of ranks in the face of the severe economic crisis that has afflicted the world over the last several years, problems that people face in their everyday lives in getting jobs or access to credit or health care or education, or in the political realm, where free access to information puts responsibilities on governments, journalists, and citizens alike. So we take seriously the threats to democracy wherever they occur, and we speak out about them. We provide assistance through our aid programs on rule of law, on good governance, on democracy development, and we will continue to do so. But I do think that everyone in government, in opposition, or citizens has to begin setting priorities for countries and achieving them to demonstrate that democracy can deliver. You know, at the Krakow meeting recently on Community of Democracies, there was a vigorous debate about whether democracy is the wave of the future or not, or whether authoritarian regimes that are producing economic results for citizens but depriving them of political and civil rights provide an alternative model. Well, what a sad debate to be having in the year 2010, after having spent the 20th century overthrowing totalitarianism. For us now to be in the 21st century and doubting democracy, shame on us. So my view is that everybody needs to be held to a high standard. No leader, no party, no government is immune from criticism, because none of us is perfect. There has not yet been created the perfect human being in my experience, whether that person is in or out of government. So we're going to continue to support democracy here in Georgia. And when people say, well, we're becoming skeptical of the United States or skeptical of Europe or skeptical of the West, and so the alternative is what? You know, work to overcome that skepticism, work to fix the problems, work to stand up and be heard, and I have great confidence that the people of Georgia can do that.